So, Josh, traditionally in this country, we've facilitated what we call the private viewing. An individual is taken round 1, 2, 3 or 4 properties, and in fact, back in the day when I was training as a negotiator, the key was to try to get a client applicant to view 2 or 3 properties on that appointment. You adopt a different approach, I believe.
Yeah, so certainly one of the big things that we've understood is that people want what other people want. And when they see someone else is about to buy what they want, then ultimately their energy for that actually increases. And so that's natural human instinct. So what we developed in Australia was that we wanted to get more efficient around the use of our diary. And it was something we called compression selling. And the idea is that we never go to a private viewing or a private appointment anymore unless we've got at least 2 or 3 people that are interested in that property. It makes it more efficient from a diary perspective. It makes it more convenient from your owner's perspective to make sure the home is at presentation standard. And it also puts the competition on the consumer, because all of a sudden when they see someone else in the home, they think, what's going on? So we would schedule maybe an appointment at 2 o'clock, another one at 2:15 and another one at 2:30. So the appointments are slightly overlapping so that all of a sudden someone sees someone else coming to look at the property and then gets that fear that they're actually going to miss out. And to really index up the fear of the consumer, we used to also pull out the tape measure over the front of the fridge, and we'd actually measure its width, and we'd say, now is your fridge going to fit, or do we need to negotiate to leave it behind? And when another particular consumer sees that happening, they think, you know what? I want that, and I want that fridge as well. And all of a sudden that drives that competition. And it's about how do you create competition in a non-competitive market? And that's what some of the great estate agents do, is that they understand how do they give people the feeling of what it's like to turn up home. And this might be funny, but sometimes some of our agents will actually throw the keys to the consumer, say, hey, would you like to open up the house? And the consumer says, why is that? I said, well, we'd like you to be able to feel that feeling of what it's like to arrive home. And all of a sudden when they open that front door and they walk into that property for that first time, it sets the experience that this really could be the place that they might be living in.
Great. And I also believe that you call it the open house, or open for inspection, actually, I think is the term you use in Australia. You tend to hold back viewings on a new property that's come onto the market for specific appointments. Can you just quickly talk us through that, how that works?
Yeah, so we really try to drive efficiency inside of the marketplace, and we want to try and get as many people to a property at the same time as possible. And so we actually facilitate on usually on a Saturday, something we might call an open for inspection, and they're for 30 minutes and no longer. In the United States, they run them for 3 or 4 hours, but in Australia, we run them for 30 minutes at a time, and we invite all of the people in and around that local area, and not only including the neighbours, but also 2 past clients of the firm, past market appraisals, applicants that we've already got on the side of our database, and we invite them to the property at exactly the same time. Now we might have in any one of those 2 or 3 people, and at our most popular ones in very high population areas, we can have 30, 40, even 50 people turning up to that home in that 30-minute time frame. What it does is it drives competition. We can then identify the 3 or 4 people that want to come back for a second viewing, which we'll do in more of a private approach, but actually creates that feeling that this is a very popular property and a lot of people want to pursue it.
And so typically on a listing, whether it's a property to rent or whether it's a property to buy, would that be the standard approach to have an open for inspection appointment?
So I would say 99% of all properties that go to market in Australia would without a doubt start with an open for inspection.
Yeah, so it clearly works, it's clearly a tool. I also believe it's a great canvassing opportunity for prospecting for future listings as well.
Well, there's no doubt that when a neighbour sees all of these people turning up to the property at exactly the same time, they think, wow, geez, these guys are good at what they do. And what we understand that today that the customer is the marketer. And if they get a great experience in coming to that property and they can see 3 or 4 properties over the course of a 1 or a 2 hour period, because there's lots of properties available and open in and around the area, it makes it a much faster process for them to find their new home.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Josh.